Today is the day that I've certainly been waiting for. It's been a little bit of a disappointment, if I'm honest. The one true descendant of the original Mk1 Escort, but they haven't even built one yet. All we've got is a computer generated image, and I am disappointed with that. Weird picture, mixed views on this whole situation. Today is the 12th of December 2024, which was the day that I've certainly been waiting for with regards to finding out some more information about, and so I thought, getting a first look at the upcoming brand new Mk1 Escorts that are being built by Borum Motorworks under licence from Ford themselves. If you're a regular viewer of my content, please do click the like button now because it's a massive help. Alternatively, if you're new to the channel, click subscribe now and welcome. I'm Marcus Hayes, and today has been a little bit of a disappointment, if I'm honest. I mentioned in a recent video that there's actually loads of other companies that are building brand new replicas or copies of Mk1 Escorts, but this is set to be the one true descendant of the original Mk1 Escort. But it appears that they haven't even built one yet. We were patiently awaiting for the release of this new car. I expected to at least see a prototype as well as a load of details about the spec, but what we've actually been given is a computer generated image, which is mad considering that body shells are available, full cars are available from other companies, as we've already talked about in a previous video. But this official Mk1 Escort that has now been officially announced to the public, and they don't even have a car built to show us, I find that astounding, and I think they might have missed the mark with this one. You know, if they were marketing these as, you know, a proper car for enthusiasts, you know, Borum Motorworks have got Alan Mann on board as their official high performance division, so, you know, it's all pointing towards the fact that they want this to be proper. They want this to be part of the heritage of the actual Mk1 Escort. You know, after all, this is, you know, licensed by Ford and, as they keep saying, the one true descendant. But they don't even have a car to show us. All we've got is a computer generated image, and, you know, I am at least partly disappointed with that. Now, in terms of the design, it does very much look to be, in terms of the shape, the same as a Mk1 Escort, and, you know, the same as the brand new Mk1 Escort shells that you can get from companies like Magnum. I'm not sure whether they're going to be using Magnum panels or Magnum shells, but there is a weird picture that shows a guy on a computer screen looking at a body shell as if they're going through the design process of building a body shell, which I find really strange. I find it strange that they're not just going to be using the body shells and panels that are already out there. You know, is this going to be a blueprint correct Mk1 Escort, as they've said? Because if it is, then you may as well use the body shells and panels that are already out there. Or is this going to be a completely new thing? And that's why we've got this funny picture of a guy apparently, you know, going through the design process of a body shell. Or, just like the computer generated images we've got of the car so far, is this just a bit of a fake picture and nothing actually to do with the process that's gone into designing these new cars? But yeah, back to the shape of the car. It's clearly a bubble arched Mk1 Escort shell. It's got the LED style headlights that we knew anyway. We could see those through the cover of the image with the cover on the car. You know, they're based on the rectangular headlamps that were fitted to the Group 5 Alan Mann Escorts. You know, those cars had tape on them in a cross, which was to keep the lights together in an event of a crash. And yeah, these are obviously brand new LED headlights that are made to replicate that sort of design. Round the back, there's also some modern looking LED versions of original Mark 1 rear lights. And we can see that these cars are apparently going to be fitted with no bumpers. Again, just like the Alan Mann Group 5 race cars were. In the computer generated video that Boron Motorworks have released, they showed a white car with red stripes going down the middle, and in these other pictures that we can see, which are computer generated images, again, we can see stripes going down the middle. So maybe that means that all the cars are going to have this striped livery on them. And there's also another stripe that runs down the side of the car, low down, just sitting on top of that lower swage line. And this livery, although I think it looks kind of cool, isn't a sort of copy or a replica of any livery or any stripes that were fitted to any original Mark 1 Escort. But if I recall correctly, they are reminiscent of the stripes that you can get on some of the higher model Mustangs, I believe. Now, in terms of the wheels, they've obviously come up with a wheel that is kind of reminiscent of the 4-spoke RS wheel, but it's still rather different than those wheels. And I'm not really sure about them, to be honest. But the more I look at the car, the more the wheels are growing on me. So yeah, they're fine. I think the problem maybe with this project is that they needed to tick 2 boxes. They needed to make them sympathetic of the actual old school Mark 1 Escorts, and I'm glad that it is actually a Mark 1 Escort shape. You know, it's not been a complete rug pull and they've just presented us with an SUV that's yeah, nothing like a Mark 1 Escort. So I'm glad that it is a Mark 1 Escort in terms of its shape. But yeah, they've obviously needed to also make it different. They need to set it apart from some of the other, granted, non-Ford Mark 1 Escort copies and stuff that are out there. So I can see where they've gone with this design. They've obviously, you know, tried to make it inspired by the Group 5 Alan Mann Escorts, hence no bumpers, hence rectangular headlights and stuff. So, you know, I don't think they've done bad considering the challenges of ticking both of those boxes. I'm just really disappointed that we haven't got an actual prototype car to look at and they're just giving us computer generated images. So yeah, I don't think there's really much to say else on the exterior. But when it comes to the interior, they really have gone with a unique feel. So first of all, let's have a look at the seats, which are very modern looking seats, it has to be said. In general, the interior is dripping with Alcantara and carbon fibre, so it's a very modern take on the interior, and they're trying to merge classic design with modern functionality, which was kind of to be expected really. But it is a very, very modern looking interior. It looks like the dashboard itself is carbon fibre, but it's got an Alcantara top. It does have 2 heater vents, just like the original Mark 1s would have had, but they are a slightly different design. We've got a 3-spoke steering wheel, very deep, kind of like the Spring Lex ones, but without circular cutouts in the spokes. They're more elongated rectangle cutouts. The car does have a 6-dial dash with obviously more modern looking dials, and yeah, way more modern dials and switches on the switch panel in the center. And this particular interior in this particular computer generated image has got a load of red details around it. We've got stripes on the door cards, also along underneath the dash, and a red 12 o'clock marker on the steering wheel. But yeah, I'm not going to say it's an ugly interior. It is very modern, and although it's not Mark 1 Escort-esque at all, I've got to say I like it. It looks comfortable, it looks smart, and it looks like quite a nice place to be. We can see that the car has a roll cage, and in fact, although I didn't include the picture in the previous video I made about these new Mark 1s, after I made that video I did actually see another image of this car where you could see that it was going to have a roll cage. And we can see that, as they announced, this car is going to have a manual gearbox. And yeah, these are actually being offered with 2 separate petrol engines, which was what they announced before anyway. And when it comes to the engines, this is where it gets very vague in terms of details. Now, these cars, you know, at least partly, they should have been trying to aim them at enthusiasts. All right, it's obvious that most of us aren't going to be able to afford one. There's actually only going to be apparently 150 units, so they are going to be considerably expensive. I can't find anything on here so far about the price. But one thing that I'm sure a lot of people out there would have been wondering is exactly what engines they're going to be offering these things with. But yeah, it doesn't say the exact type of engines, and I don't know, maybe some of you guys are a bit more knowledgeable than me, will be able to identify what engines they're talking about. But essentially, the first option is a reimagined twin cam engine expanded to 1845cc, delivering 185 PS, which is like the metric brake horsepower measurement, via a precise fuel injection system, paired with a 4-speed manual, and they're calling it a Ford Bullet straight cut gearbox. Is that just going to be like a brand new version of the Rocket Box? You know, maybe like a Quaife 4-speed? Not sure, but you know, what engine would be a reimagined twin cam expanded to 1845cc, which makes 185 PS, which is roughly 180 horsepower, I think. You know, is that an 1800 Duratec that's been bought out to 1845cc? But if so, why didn't they just offer it with a 2-litre Duratec? They are offering another engine, which is a 2.1 engine. But yeah, this 1845 reimagined twin cam engine, yeah, it doesn't say what actual engine it is. It just says that it's exceptional performance, tailored for today's roads, seamlessly merges the revered history of the Mark1 RS with modern drivability, promising an experience that honours its iconic lineage. Whatever that means. Now, the other option is for those seeking an engine with motorsport DNA, is a road-tuned 2.1 litre powerhouse, as they've called it. Now, this engine weighs less than 85 kilos. It's a 2.1 litre, and it's high revving, so it's capable of up to 10,000 RPM, and it produces 300 PS. Now, I kind of instantly thought, oh, maybe it's a Millington, right? Which was one of the engines that I kind of expected them to put in this because, you know, the MSTs come with those. But when I looked at the Millington website, what I thought I saw was that they don't do a 2.1 engine. They only do 2.5s, 2.7s and 2.8s. Now, yes, they are 85 kilos, so that's what made me think that this was what they were on about. I was then kind of thinking that maybe it's one of these new BDGs, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I think is just like a new version of the old BDAs, and that would kind of tie in to, you know, the heritage of a Mark 1, right? And they're available new, anything from a 2 litre to a 2.2 litre. So maybe they're the engine that Borum Motorworks are talking about. It also says here that they're available as a 1.8 litre variant on an alloy block. So maybe the 1845cc engine that Borum Motorworks are going to be offering, maybe they're one of these new BDG engines. I don't know. But then when I looked back at the Millington website, I can see above the examples that they mention, it does say that they make engines from 2 litre all the way up to just over 2.8 litres. So I think this 2.1 engine that Borum Motorworks are going to be offering is going to be a Millington lump. And I would guess that the 1845cc engine is going to be one of the new BDGs, or maybe both of the engines being offered in these new Mark 1s are BDGs of different sizes. But it's just speculation because Borum Motorworks haven't actually told us what engines they're planning to use. And there's no images on here that I can see showing the engine. So again, I think they've missed the mark there, not letting us know what engines they're going to be fitting to these things. You know, there's enough information that they must know, but not enough information to let us know. I find that very, very strange. But there you go. Other information, apparently they're going to be... this was very strange as well. It says the car's going to have an 800 kilo target weight. So again, because they haven't built one, it's like they don't know. There's an 800 kilo target weight. So, you know, the idea behind this whole project is very much to sell them off plan before they... and certainly customers are going to know exactly what they're getting. Now, one part of the ethos, you could say, of these new Mark 1s, apparently, according to what I'm reading on their website, is something that I very much agree with, and that is the idea of low weight and high revs. And in my opinion, that's what makes these old school Escorts so fun. You know, you don't need a ton of power, you just keep them low weight, keep the revs up, and they are a whole lot of fun. And apparently these things have been designed with a 55-45 weight distribution, so almost 50-50 weight distribution, and they're going to have McPherson front struts, much like the original ones. But the rear suspension, it seems, is going to be quite trick, with a lightweight aluminium and titanium fully floating axle paired with an ATB limited slip diff and coilovers. So, you know, it's clearly going to be a linked rear end. But yeah, aluminium and titanium axle. Yeah, very interesting. But this car is not going to have modern driving aids like power steering, ABS or traction control. So again, that's tying into the actual feel of a proper Mark 1 Escort. I'm kind of surprised they're not going to be fitting power steering though. You know, a lot of people like fitting power steering to the classic Escorts. Surely they would offer that if you really wanted it. It's a simple modification to do, even though I don't necessarily do it to mine. But yeah, those 4-spoke rims are 15-inch by 7-inch at the front with 205 50-15 tyres, and the rears are 15 by 8s with 225 50-15 tyres. And in terms of brakes, they're going to be fitted with 260mm vented discs at the front with 4-pot calipers and 264mm solid discs at the back with 2-pot calipers. But it's fair to say that a rear disc conversion is quite a common thing that people do on the original Escorts, even though I personally haven't done that to any of my cars yet. I can see here that apparently the car can include optional 4-point harnesses, race helmet stowage in the visual carbon rear compartment, and a roll cage with removable door bars, underscoring the vehicle's performance-focused design. Other details are that these cars are apparently going to have lightweight carbon fibre bonnets and boot lids. They'll have a tinted glass option and heated front and rear screens. It goes on here about how every curve, line and angle has been meticulously crafted to replicate the Mark 1's profile using scan data and original blueprints, which again kind of suggests that they're not going to bother using the body shells and the panels that are already out there. They've set about, it seems, starting again, but it seems they haven't done it yet. Yeah, very strange. This is the first car of its kind to undergo a comprehensive CAD engineering program combining laser scanned original blueprints with advanced digital modelling. It means they can re-engineer the car's all-steel body with enhanced structural bracing, optimising chassis dynamics and improving rigidity. Apparently, they identified areas for structural improvement. And then, yeah, this is going to ensure exceptional handling, performance and durability, blah, 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 blah. So, again, I'm not sure whether this is all going to be them modifying the shells and panels that are already out there, or whether they are literally building these things from scratch, which is mad when you think the costs involved to have the tooling to, yeah, make these things from scratch. But who knows? As I say, there's not as much information been released today as I thought there would be, and yeah, definitely not as much as I was hoping. But it is good to see that, again, this isn't just another electric SUV that looks nothing like an Escort, and what they've been saying up to now, that this was going to be an actual continuation of the Mark 1 Escort, it appears that it is going to be. Apparently these things are going to continue on with the VIN numbers from back in the day, which is a sort of cool marketing gimmick, I would say. But yeah, mixed views on this whole situation. I like how they've clearly tried to sort of set their Escorts apart from the ones that are already available, but considering the whole idea of the project was to make this the one true descendant of a Mark 1 Escort, maybe setting this apart from the ones that are currently out there is kind of going against that. You know, the MST Escorts that you can buy are more proper, it seems, than these are going to be in a way, which is mad because these are going to be actual Ford licensed products, whereas the MST Escorts are just kit cars. But yeah, I understand how they had to set themselves apart. I'm kind of glad that they've stayed true to the Mk1 Escort quite a lot whilst doing so, but I am very disappointed that they don't actually have a car that they've built that they can show us. But yeah, that's just me. I'm sure at some point in the future we'll be able to see one. I'm sure that they will be able to sell the 150 units. The fact that there is only going to be 150 units makes me think that these are going to be way more expensive than I assumed. I'm thinking these are probably going to be hundreds of thousands of pounds. So they're not trying to compete on price with the likes of MST, etc., etc. So, you know, these are clearly just going to go to the kind of people that collect supercars and collect cars in general. And yeah, with such a limited run, you know, as a collector car, I'm sure they're going to be a great investment and they're going to hold their value. It just means that potentially we might not actually end up seeing many of them in real life, apart from at shows and stuff like that. But who knows, you know, this is yet to be seen. But it appears that the Mk1 Escort is back as an official Ford product. And yeah, I suppose we'll have to wait to find out some actual details about this thing and at some point get to actually see one of these things that have been built, because it appears that so far there isn't one to look at. So I'm going to end this video here and get it out as quick as I can. Huge thanks to everyone who has tuned in. Do give the video a thumbs up and a share if you thought it was any good. If you didn't, feel free to give it a thumbs down. Click subscribe to the channel if you're new to keep up to date with all future uploads. Check the links in the description to follow me on Facebook, TikTok and Instagram. I'll leave my email address down there for anyone who wants to contact me, as well as a link to my own website for any of you guys that want to support and represent the channel with some official MH merchandise. Also, check out the Petrolhead Star website, which is my other company that supplies cool car themed clothing and products. Huge thanks as always to my patrons for your ongoing support. But other than that, until next time, thanks for watching.